During Sozin's comet, Fire Lord Ozai throws a single fireball at Aang that fans have spent years freeze-framing because if you slow it down, there's visible lightning flickering inside of it and before it is created. Once you understand why that's there, his entire fight with Aang plays out completely differently. So hit that subscribe button because today we're going to answer the question, why does Ozai's fire spark when nobody else's does in the entire franchise? So go back and watch Ozai's fight with Aang frame by frame and you'll catch something that the show never explains. The massive fireball that he throws midair isn't just fire. If you slow it down, you can see sparks of lightning and combustion woven directly into the move, something that no other firebender in the entire series ever produces, even by accident. So to understand why that detail is there, you have to look at how lightning actually works in the Avatar universe. It's the rarest form of firebending, built entirely around internal control instead of aggression. A bender has to separate the positive and negative energy inside of their own body and recombine it with total precision. And the show calls it the cold-blooded fire because any flicker of real emotion completely ruins the process. Just look at Zuko. When he had his unresolved turmoil, just look what the lightning did to him. Now, that is why lightning is normally generated with a slow, deliberate motion, almost like a dance, giving the bender time to build the charge safely and to not cause any mistakes. Ozai, however, skips that step entirely. Right after the solar eclipse ends and his bending returns, he generates lightning almost instantly with barely any wind-up at all. And he doesn't just do it with one hand the way that Azula does. He fires it from both hands simultaneously, something that no other character in the show is really ever shown doing in any major way. Bending in the Avatar universe is built on the idea that motion equals power. Yet here's a moment where a firebender produces one of the most advanced techniques in existence while barely even moving. That tells us that his power was immense. And that's of course correct because he did this during Sozin's comet. And Sozin's comet changes the equation entirely. The comet amplifies firebending across the board, letting benders pull off feats that are normally completely out of reach, like sustained flight or lightning bolts that are far more powerful than usual. For most firebenders, that just means bigger flames, but for Ozai, someone who already has the precise internal control that lightning generation requires, that really doesn't just make his fire stronger. It pushes his baseline firebending into the same territory that lightning normally lives in, which is exactly why the sparks show up now and not before. That's the piece that ties it together. The crackle in his flames during the fight isn't just a stylistic choice or a flourish that the animators randomly decided to put in. It's a visual signal that the comet has cranked his ordinary fire up to a point where it's brushing against the lightning part of the generation inside of his internal chi and his internal bending generation system. Now, the reason this doesn't happen to any other firebenders during the comet is because a firebender without that level of mastery that Ozai has both in normal fire but also in his total and complete, almost sociopathic calmness when generating lightning, as opposed to Azula or even Iroh, the two systems just wouldn't brush up against each other and their fire would just get bigger and messier instead of being more refined, which leads to lightning sparks to come out. Ozai's fire gets sharper and more electric because the skill underneath was always more refined than almost any other bender. So to wrap it up, the sparks only appear during the comet because that is the one moment that Ozai's fire and his lightning are operating on the same level. His final battle wasn't just him at his most powerful, it was him fighting with fire that had finally caught up to just how precise he already was. So if you enjoyed this little Avatar The Last Airbender lore tidbit and want to see plenty more Avatar lore just like this, hit that subscribe button, leave a like down below, and drop a thank Mr. Zuko in the comments down below if you made it this far.